Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to Talking with Teachers. I'm your host, Dr. Abdullah bin Hamid Ali. Have a very, very special guest with us today. Really great, gives me great honor to have with us Shaykh Umar Ibrahim Vadillo, who many of you know, and many of you perhaps you don't know, but I think that you should come to know who he is. Shaykh Umar Vadillo, he is a Muslim convert from Spain who introduced the gold dinar and silver dirham to the state of Kelantan, Malaysia in 2010. He also introduced barter markets in which only money with intrinsic value is used. He is the founder of World Islamic Trade Organization, also the chairman and founder of World Islamic Mint, and he also introduced an online gold payment and repository system called Dinar. It gives me great pleasure to have the opportunity to speak today with Shaykh Umar Vadillo. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Well, Shaykh, alhamdulillah, really is a great pleasure and honor to have this opportunity. Thank you for the invitation, for accepting the invitation, and really looking forward to a robust conversation about some really important issues today, inshallah.
Me too.
Alhamdulillah. Well, I like to usually first begin with having my guest speak a little bit about himself. And in particular, I'm concerned with not only your academic background, but perhaps even your journey. I know that, you call yourself a convert. Usually in your bio, you have your bios. Well, at least the bio that I've seen, you said that you're a convert from Spain. And sometimes I ask myself, when did you stop being a convert? You've been Muslim for a very long time. And also, I remember back when I was on Hajj in 1993, and I was my 20s, early 20s. First time I had met a Muslim from Spain, I was really fascinated, by it, and it was really like just an amazing experience. It's my first time on an airplane, first time out of the United States, out of the country. And so I went to Hajj, and so I met a Muslim from Spain. And of course, at that time, I didn't know that there's a lot of history of Islam in Spain. Of course, we have people like Ibn Rushd and Qadi Abu Bakr ibn Arabi, Ibn Hazm al-Zahiri. There's so many different names, which, of course, a lot of people are familiar with. And, so we have, of course, you have yourself, a great thinker as well. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala preserve you. So how about your family upbringing, how you came to develop your interest in Islam and ultimately become Muslim? How did that happen?
Well, that's a long time ago. I was 20 years old when I became a Muslim. I come from the north part of Spain and Basque. And Basque, generally, they are very religious families, Catholic. And my family was particularly religious. So I have priests in my family. My father had gone to a monastery to be educated. I was the eldest in my generation, so I was earpicked to become a priest myself. And I went through monastery education. It's not just religious education. We go up in the mountains. We are educated with monks, with Augustinians, Pencoletos, meaning gathered. So they are in isolation in the middle of the mountains, and I was educated there during all my primary education. And I enjoyed it massively. It was a very unique experience. So I came out of this fully charged with Catholic faith. But it was in the summer of my 15th birthday, so I was very young, that I came to realize that is just unconvincing. And my biggest disappointment was the hypocrisy I saw in the church in regard to social justice. And for some reason, this was something very important to me, and the sense of economic justice and social justice was implicit with the notion of being devoted to God. I couldn't imagine that you will be concerned with your own salvation, and you will not care about the people that they are suffering around you and need you. And I didn't find any satisfactory answer there. So I moved directly. I started reading anarchism. So I became master of reading Kropotkin and Bakunin, Malatesta, of course, the master, the Joseph Pierre Proudhon. I've read everything that was available in Spanish. And there is a lot available in Spanish because Spain has a strong anarchist tradition. And I abandoned completely faith. That was very shocking for my father, as you can imagine. Or the notion that I will not go back to the church, but I was very, very firm. And I spoke to him very clearly. I said, I don't believe in this. So don't force me to go to the church because I don't believe in this. My father tried to convince me. And I said to him, look, if you do that, if you force me to go to the mass, I promise to you, I knew that the mass completely. So I said, if you force me to go to the church, I will be backwards. So facing the altar, I will be backwards. And when the moment comes, and I know when the moment comes, to receive the holy biscuit, I'm going to go there, I'm going to pick it up, I'm going to throw it into the floor, and I'm going to stop it. And I went to the chair, my father said, no, what are you talking about? You're 15 years old, you do what your father tells you. And I spent the whole time backwards. It's shocking. I enjoy in the church and just one individual that is just looking back. And when the moment comes, because I did all these things with the priest. When the moment came, I just started to walk towards the front to pick up the holy biscuit, and my father put the hand there. I said, well, because he was going to do it, and I was determined. So that was the last time he asked me. And so I grew with a strong feeling of atheism. I was a fan of theistic philosophy, and it made many of my friends atheists until I met an extraordinary man, which was Sheikh Umar Sufi. Purely accidental. I had no intention. I had no interest in religion. I was convinced that this is the opium of the people. I was convinced that this is a way of cheating people. And certainly I had no notion of what spirituality means, except just sort of making the people sort of lose their head. And I met this extraordinary man. He was probably the only person in the world, I'll call him, but the only person who would have turned me around. And he certainly did. I met a man who thought about matters differently, who spoke about God in a different way. And bit by bit, was lured into what he had to say. And I had a strange conversion into Islam. Sheikh Al-Qadr decided for some reason he liked me. And I was living in Madrid at that point. I had my own apartment. I had my own job and car, and I was very independent. I was studying engineering in the university, but I was pretty much independent. And then he took a house 200 meters away from me. And like we used to go after my classes, I went to see him every day, just because he was entertaining. And one day he started. He said to me, all of a sudden. I mean, it didn't at the beginning for the first 3 months. I didn't know he was a Muslim. 3 months.
SubhanAllah.
Then one day I saw him praying, and then I said, "What are you doing?" And then I followed him. And then after that, he started to come to Madrid. He came to Madrid. He took an apartment, and this is why everything after I learned he was a Muslim, I became even more interested. Because what is this thing that this such an intelligent man cannot choose something so ascetic as Islam? And one day he comes and he says, "Repeat after me." And he said, Allah, Allah, 3 times. I didn't even know what it meant. But, he asked me politely, so I repeated it. I said the best I could. Allah, Allah, Allah. And then I was just hoping that he was going to give me. And now the meaning of this is he didn't say anything. He just continued. I usually go there to read. He's a fantastic collection of French writers. In his conversation was very illuminating. That was the purpose. I wasn't there just to give me lectures on Islam. He just did that. And during that summer, and it was the end of my school, and I took a holiday with 2 friends of mine to southern Tunisia, and I was there in the last village before the Sahara Desert. So nothing religious or anything of the kind. Just kind of enjoy ourselves in the dunes with these carts and do crazy things. And we were in the square of this tiny last village of Tunisia, and suddenly I heard the adhan, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, and somehow I felt the absolute, complete obligation to go and follow the people that they were going to the mosque. I don't know. It's like the flute of Hamelin, it's like, what a strange thing. If I want to go, I said to my friends, I have to go to the mosque. My friends look at me and they're like, are you crazy? You are in the countryside. These people will kill you. Don't let tourists go to don't be stupid. Don't go, maybe in Tunisia, in the city, but here is, don't do it. They told us not to do it. Don't do it. But we didn't have to do it. They thought I was joking. They thought I was just going to go around the corner and come back again with a little joke. But didn't. I was compelled. So I went to the mosque. I remember from one prayer I did with Shaykh that you have to wash your hands before the wudu. So I remember, okay, I wash my hands and I wash my feet. How to take my shoes off. That's all I knew. And then I entered into the prayer, was Dhuhr. And the prayer had already started. And of course, I joined in the back. But when you never prayed in your life, everybody noticed because you're clumsy, you start hitting everybody. And when I was halfway, and when the Imam said Assalamu alaikum, then I say Assalamu alaikum too. I had not completed the prayer, but the people noticed. So as my friends said to me, all the congregation came around. They were speaking in Arabic to me, but it wasn't. They were not saying hello, how are you? It was like, and it was kind of Imam came when he saw the noise. And I, with a little bit of French I had, I said, Je suis musulman. Je suis ici pour la prière. I am a Muslim. I thought I'm here for the prayer. And the man looked at me, the man, I remember, he just looked me up and down like, say, he's crazy. So leave him alone. He just left me. I just left the room. But when I was out of the mosque and I said, I am a Muslim, it's like, I am a Muslim. I mean, it was strong. And suddenly I realized this nothing has bewitched. What I said, Allah, Allah, I am bewitched now. If I mention the name of Allah, I get goosebumps. With my friends, they were there just going to what happened. I said, I have to go back to Madrid. It's about the most crazy. We just arrived. No, I have to go back. I went back. I took the next plane. I went back to Madrid. And I left my things in my apartment. I went straight to him. And, for him he was living in an apartment. I just went to knock at the door and the door opened just like that. And then I went to his apartment, and when I was to press the button of the house, it also automatically opened. I thought, weird. And then I took the elevator, and I was angry with him, and suddenly I thought, oh, so funny that, every time I tried to press the button, it opened before. It's kind of, I was totally confused. And when I just came out of the elevator, I just kind of, he was there. Speaking at the door. He didn't know I was coming. Not see it. He was just waiting for me. It just thought that he's definitely a witch or something. He's done something to me. And yes, but how did you know that I was here? You forgot about all my story. Do you know I was coming? He smiled at me. He's just called me. That's it. I was done. So I mean, I don't know how you can call it invention because the least effort that a human being can do. I mean, I was the only thing that resembles my emotion is that when Allah wants someone, He pulls it by the hair. It's like He gives you no choice. And that was me. I mean, Allah said, "You come here," and that's it. I mean, I didn't know anything about Islam, but I was completely in love with Allah.
SubhanAllah.
Right? I mentioned the name of Allah, I get goosebumps. Imagine in my head it was like atheist, but the name of Allah is just, I melted it. And so, Pastor, God did not tell me become a Muslim, so it was irritating until he finally told me, yes, okay, you can. You should become a Muslim. And I said, yes, of course, I'm more than ready. So I fell in love with Allah, and then I discovered Islam. That was my journey.
MashaAllah, tabarakallah. A beautiful, beautiful, beautiful story. There's so many people I know who've actually crossed paths with Sheikh Abdul Qadir, rahimahullah, or were students of his at one point, or disciples. And many of the famous names we know. Sheikh Hamza Yusuf, of course, we know he spent some time there, and Dr. Omar Abdullah, Farouk Abdullah. There's Abdul Hakim Marad, and I've actually interviewed Sheikh Abdul Samad Clark earlier this year. Also, Hassan Spiker. Of course, he grew up in the community. There's so many other people, right? So, I mean, clearly a very blessed man. I mean, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, abound him in his mercy. And that's a really beautiful story. It's like he planted the seed of Islam into your heart. So it's interesting to hear you say you go from being a Catholic and become an atheist, a Marxist, yeah, and then, and that's really, it's really discerning. He clearly has some discernment, to know, okay, that this is an individual who needs to actually have or to be able to utter the name of God, right? Someone who's trying to reject God needs to say the word of God, So it's really, it shows an amazing amount of discernment on his part. Of course, after observing you for some time, you say he developed a liking for you, and then he asked you to say this rather than say La ilaha illallah. I thought that's what you were going to say. You're going to say, he told me to say La ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, but he said Allah. It's really amazing, how that works. And, of course, Allah, as they say, works in mysterious ways. And really thank you for that. Really thank you for that. Okay. So you're studying engineering, and so you were following these classes, these talks that the Sheikh was giving. And so he was teaching about Islam, so it's really interesting. So you're saying that you weren't interested in religion or form religion, but you were just captivated by him, right? That he had a charisma, that sort of drew you to him. And then it sounds like you actually accept Islam before he actually said that you should, because you visit the masjid, and then you say, I'm a Muslim. So that's really amazing story. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you for it. Now your Islamic studies, I'm assuming that they started from there. Yeah, so you started to study. Of course, I can tell that you're a mystic. That you're a mystic.
You're right. If your teachers how Sufi in Manya.
Yes.
I mean, from the very beginning, he knew I was very concerned about economic matters. I was never a Marxist. I was an anarchist.
Okay, anarchist. Okay.
In the West. So we knew Marx is a fraud.
Okay.
But I understand the banking system is evil. And the modern state is nothing but a combination between the marriage between government and banking. So it's once of the central bank, you don't have that have is so you your system that runs the people. Well, I have gone that far. But when I understood the personal riba, it was like mind blowing to me because I said, this is the part that Proudhon never understood. He understood partly. He speaks against riba, but without understanding what riba is, the way Islam defines, the section that Islam defines, is still something missing in the equation. And of course, the more you know about the matter, the more you learn. So when I asked our guy what to read, he gave me the Muwatta of Imam Malik. So I started with the Kitab al-Buyur, the chapter 31. And I mean, I must have read it 80 times. I mean, it was, so I had to start from there, everything I could. And it was very, very clear to me that here is a model. Islam is a model of society of how to run a project. And if Islam suggests you do this and this and this, you win. If you don't do it, you lose. Well, I mean, I have really understood how this society operates, for the majority of the people, they are just completely, totally paralyzed. It's very difficult for them to make political decisions because these societies are great free men. It's weak, not political decision. You cannot make decisions about your family. You cannot decide about your children. You cannot decide about anything. You just pay, and you're just a little robot. Becoming a Muslim doesn't make any difference if you just follow society. So it was very clear to me that Islam is precisely the picture. If you follow the program, then you change society. But on the other hand, the Muhammad teaching me the other side of the story, and that was the real fun. That was the real mind blowing experiences. And if you think that if Sheikh kind of puts the hand in your head that kind of gives you a little energy bubbles, it's not quite how it doesn't work. So to me, and when you play with your heart. I mean, I understood that. I understood, okay, if I want to become a Muslim, I want to become 100% a Muslim. You just play around, just sort of see what happens. I'm going to put my faith into the mat. And that's what I did. And I through the prayer, that everything happened. And I remember he, just like a couple of weeks after I became a Muslim, he said, don't waste all your nights sleeping. He said, wake up at night and pray. And for me, that was like orders. So I said, really? Okay, fine. So I put my watch 2 a.m. and started doing it. In the beginning, I had to put the alarm clock, and it was kind of automatically at 2 p.m. I was up every night, and I was just doing prayers. Now it's, for me, because we weren't giving instructions how to do it, just play it. And so I thought, okay, Taraweeh now, so I do 33. I couldn't finish more than 4. From the beginning, because I was already in the floor crying, just broken. And so like I said, this is the most amazing thing I've ever done in my life. This is extraordinary. Or nobody told me about this. And I would feel the presence of Allah. And you feel the presence of Allah is sent up for you can't, you feel the prize. It was inevitable. So, the next day I will go back to Sajalaka and I was like, what happened last night? It was like amazing. So this is I was walking. He would look at me with a calm face. I would say, oh, that's interesting. Keep going. So really, okay, fine. I will keep going. So the next night, and I will go and he will go deeper and deeper and deeper. And I will go back to him and his cold face would tell me again, keep going. It's good. It's a beautiful. Just keep going. But I will go and go and go. And there was a point that I was just saying to him, so if I throw myself into this love affair, there is nothing to bring me back. I just coming to the end. He was keep going. It's a really play, and I will keep going at that. And I myself I started to realize if I say one time more than anybody else, I'll come back because there's nothing on this side to pull you back. And I'm just going, just to lose it. And this looked that to him, and he was keep going until there's destructing it. Basically, to see that I thought I was going to go mad never happened. So I said, but I can go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And the abandonment that you really realize that your will is disappearing. Because that you put so much on the other side that if you do it again, that's it. This is finished. And then I reached that point, and I realized, no, there is no further. This is the end of it. And I pulled back, like speaking with other people also, they've done the same. I pulled back. So no, this is too much. This is it. I'm dead. On the other side is and I pulled back and I went back to him, and he looked at me. You're doing well. Keep going. And I did it 2 times. I pulled back until the last time I said, no, but I won't fuck it to you. You're a man about. Do it. Well, this thing, it's like your sheriff is telling you to do it. Do it. And I went. And then something extraordinary things start happening to you after that. There's no turning around. This is not something that you can explain. Over the years, I put many people in Halwa, and I have brought them to Fana. And the majority of the people, what they say is there is only Allah. So it's what else? The only thing is that the way they say it, they really mean it. Yeah, experience is changing because it's what is the greatest pleasure that you can think you can have in life? What is the most important event that it can occur to you? Nothing similar to this. It's just nothing but meaning. It's to know, to realize. When you disappear, like only Allah is present. This is the most extraordinary thing that now I know. Man, it's extraordinary. It's like you want to go back there, but it's not quite soon because it's like let me get used to what has happened to me. And you return from here in a complete different fashion. Is doubts that will come. It's just a part. You're a witness. So you don't believe in Allah. I'm a witness of Allah. So, I mean, you may have doubts. I don't. I don't know where to put them. So I cannot deny it. And so that's a color too.
Yeah.
Stories that when you put the two things together, then it took him to a journey. I mean, another thing he did is that he, when I became a Muslim, he decided to come with me. I finished the year and I never returned to it. I was only 30 and I just left. And we went to UAE. I learned Quran. So he put me with a teacher. I learned a little bit Arabic. We stayed there for 4 months, I think.
Did you finish? Did you complete the memorization, or you just?
No. I was just learning. I think I learned how to read. We read the last piece, but as far as I went. And then we started traveling. And for 8 years, I traveled with Navigator non-stop. And so we became traveling companions. And he took me away at it. We were in isolated places, different places. For example, we went to Germany. he wanted me to learn Heidegger, Martin Heidegger, which if you haven't come across, is a very important philosopher thinker. Not to learn about Islam because it's not a Muslim, but to learn about Kufr, especially it.
Yes.
So we did a lot of journeys like this, and then eventually we went back to Granada, and that was my early education, a mixture of understanding Muamalat, deepening myself in the issues of Muamalat, and then tasawwuf.
In financial system. Now, before I ask my questions, I wanted to preface with the hadith attributed to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which says, "يخرج الدجال في خفة من الدين وإدبار من العلم," which roughly translates as the Antichrist or the false Messiah will emerge during the time where there's laxity in religiosity and a turning away from knowledge, or a delinquency, right? Perhaps, in knowledge, right? And it seems that this hadith, that it suggests that the balance, especially towards the end of time, it's between having faith, but also being sure that we have good knowledge of the world, right? And I see you as an individual who has a very good broad knowledge of the way that the world operates, and to be totally honest, myself, I feel that I came to the awareness of certain things about the world very late in my life, and of course, I'm still learning things. And in particular, when we think about what we call sort of the hierarchy of existence, or rather, the hierarchy within the material realm, and so we often think about the human being and being at the top. But there's even hierarchy among human beings, and it seems that at the top of the hierarchy are the central banks, right? The central banks sort of run everything else, and so we find statements like "all wars are bankers' wars," and it seems that there's not a lack or a dearth of faith among Muslims, right, in Islam. But it does seem that a lot of Muslims, many Muslims, don't fully understand the way the world operates. And of course, and I'm trying not to sort of arrogate to myself some particular special type of awareness, but I do think that there are not enough Muslims who understand the importance, the vital importance of the way that the banking and the economic system works, and the concept of sound money, right? So quite often we hear terms like fiat currency. I mean, what exactly is fiat currency? Sometimes we hear people talk about inflation. What is inflation? What causes inflation? And why should, as Muslims, we pay attention to the importance of those things?
Well, first of all, the world is not dominated by the banks. It's dominated by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Yeah, of course. Yes.
He's in charge. These are just little devils that we have given them too much space to operate. The solution is Islam. Islam is a program. If you follow it, then these people don't bother you. But if you don't, if it is in a low moment of Islam, which is ours, then these bankers and these devils, they will rise to the top. But it's because we are not doing our job. They don't have any power. Paper money, fiat money, which is just a fraudulent piece of paper that nobody understands what it is. Here in Turkey, where I'm speaking from, the inflation is 100%. We don't even have the notion of what that means in the West. Not for a long time, the Germans back in the 30s of the 20th century, that they knew what it is. It's horrendous. But there was nobody there to tell the ordinary people that this is fraudulent. This is nothing. This is just a piece of paper. It's not even money. In order to understand fiat money, you have to understand about the 5 minutes of Islamic law. It takes 5 minutes. 5 minutes to understand. Because money in Islam is any commodity freely chosen as a medium of exchange, freely chosen. تجارة عن تراض منكم is that you trade with mutual consent, and paper money has value only because it's a monopoly. But it's become the icon of much more important things. You can't pretend that paper money has any rationality. Is just absurd. If you want to understand it, you have to look at it at a religious level. Is the law of the country? There's only one religion in the world, which is called capitalism, and is endorsed by the laws. Islam is law, and when the constitutions have come into place, they have displaced Islam. Islam just nowadays it's just a little personal morality. Your religion is the law that you follow, and the constitution, all the constitutions in the world, without exception, they are all the three icons of the power of today, which is central bank, as we mentioned, paper money, fiat money, and interest rates, and you can possibly drop in there taxation. They are all contrary to Islam. They are in every country in the world, in Pakistan, in Malaysia, everywhere. As long as their constitution are in place, Islam is not Islam.
Yes.
If you take the Sharia, that's not Islam. That's personal morality. So you can say to yourself, well, I like Islam, I'm a sympathizer, but only if you obey the laws or you enforce the laws. Is this clearly in the Quran? This kufr. The laws only belong to Allah. Is that clear or not? Well, this is Sufism. And if you think Sufism is just singing in the living, it's not. It's clarity, certainty. And I don't think you can make it more clear than that. The constitutions, the laws by the constitutions, they represent law and therefore religion. And it's contrary to Islam. Is we live in the world of the US dollar. For 100 years, the United States has been able to do whatever they like. In pieces of paper, and expect the rest of the world to give them oil, aluminium, gas, whatever they want for pieces of paper. You don't need to be Einstein to understand. Under those circumstances, United States wins all the time because they contain the money. They don't have any appetite for stopping it. Since Obama, the money supply of the United States will multiply by 4 at least. Again, this is a printed money because there's no tomorrow, and so that means they can do whatever they like.
Right.
Now, the Turkish leader and all the other currencies of Islam, they're just all the currencies of the Gulf. They're just mini dollars. They're pegged to the US dollar one way or another. Their reserve is not gold; it is US dollars. If this is changed, and I hope you ask me about how everything is going to change. This is the end of the system. But up until now, this is how it has operated. For the majority of the people, the personal paper money and what you ask fiat money is it's not just an anecdote. If I have an opinion, no, it doesn't matter. If there are two in this age, you either give power to this tiny little totem of paper, and you say it has power, and or you don't. In the old days, they will worship made up icons, and people say how serious people are. They spend their lives because they think it has power. Today, we give power to a piece of paper. The piece of paper is contrary to Islam. And if you don't understand, you don't even understand what Islam is. Nobody has taught you. But if you just believe that is, then that's it. You belong to the masses that they don't know what they are doing. In Islam, it's just it's a question of what does Islam say on the matter. This is a fundamental defining element of whether you are in the deen of Islam or you are somewhere else.
Yeah, so
you can't possibly accept this deal, live inside riba, the system of riba, and pretend it's not happening to you. This is just fooling yourself.
Right. Now, so like when it comes to like inflation, right? well, I guess probably even before inflation, perhaps people would need to understand just a little bit about like fractional reserve banking, right? In that how the money itself is just sort of created out of nowhere, and there's hardly any real sort of cash or assets in the banks generally, and so the banks are lending out our money to other people or lending it out to ourselves, right? And so having sort of like, I guess you'd say, a money printer which can print an unlimited amount of money sort of grants people the opportunity or the power to sort of pretty much buy anything that they want, while the different other countries around the world outside of the US, for example, right, are not able to do the same thing, although everyone is embracing US dollars as something very valuable, right? I mean, did I say that correctly? Is that, perhaps the right way to sort of express that?
I mean, inflation is just an effect. They do whatever they like. If they want to make inflation, they make inflation. That's not the point. The point is paper money and something this piece of paper. So no is worthless, completely worthless. It's not even in the hands of the government. It's in the hands of the banks by means of fractional reserve banking. But to know that this fractional reserve banking is not eureka, now I understand. Don't you understand? Your entire life is built on you have no choice onto the matter. You are locked into the system and you cannot move. What's your religion? Now, there was another religion in Palestine that says that is false, and this is part of legal. And Allah has declared war on the people who practice riba, not on the countries. Don't be like, Rose people did say, no, the death scenes aren't the best. No. There's a hadith of Rasul Sallallahu with he was asked who is cursed by riba, and Rasul Sallallahu answered the person who offers, the person who receives, and the two witnesses. You cannot just witness it.
Yes.
And there is no way on earth that you can say that I accept riba is halal and you call yourself a Muslim.
Yes, right.
You have invented your own religion. It isn't real. This is the predicament is part of, but is the easiest. I mean, it has never been easier to defeat the system as it is today. The only thing that you have to follow is at the end of the time. How many people, most people don't even know the definition of riba. Okay, you ask them either what is riba. I've been asking ulama what is the word. And the best they can tell you is interest. There's not interest. Yes. So this is one little section. It's a mathematical population, by the way. Riba is far, far more. So for all the audience that is listening to me, let me tell you what the definition of riba is. This comes from Tario Bakr ibn al-Arabi, Aftam al-Quran. He's a tafsir of Quran. And in the ayats where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Alallahu al-bay' wa aramul riba, he defines riba. And he says, riba, and please take note of this because it's obligatory for every Muslim to know this definition, is any unjustified income between the value of the goods given and the value of the goods received. There are two types of riba. One is when you increase in quantities. That is what will be referred to interest. And another one is when you increase on delay on time. You put time where it doesn't belong. Like, for example, the use of dying against dying. Dying is a promissory note, a debt, a liability that's paper money. Debt that is not even important, that does not even bother you to pay you any money. The population has become so dumb that if you tell them go to pay you something like a dollar, a pound, a lira, there are weights of gold and silver, but they don't pay you anymore. The United States has stopped paying in 1973 with Nixon, the famous Bretton Woods Agreement. It has been broken. The people don't even realize. In the Nizbot of Ibn Ajiba, in his commentary of Quran, where he says, the people who practice riba, they have been touched by the hand of shaitan. He makes a beautiful commentary. And he says that the people who practice riba, they don't, they cannot listen, and they don't know what they say. So it's a kind of form of madness. To use a US dollar is to stamp in your forehead, I'm a complete ignorant idiot. That I've been manipulated and robbed, and here I am, another brick on the wall, just to put it in the way of Pink Floyd. All in all, you are just another brick on the wall. It's exactly what you are every time you use a piece of paper. And you have to avoid it. But if you don't want to avoid it and you just want to play Islam, you do wonderful things and inflation, interest rates, and those, just go. This is not the deal. The deal is the end of all this. Allah has declared war on riba. Harb min Allahi wa Rasul. Just in case there is any doubt. Allah has declared war on those who practice riba.
Yes, that's right.
So you tell me, please, do you want a, and then immediately after, you go and you are part of war with subhanahu wa ta'ala. You don't need to be resourceful to understand that. You just have to have decency and enable because insolently. This what supposedly Tasboof is about. But Tasboof, the real Tasboof I'm talking about, it's not great days of Tasboof, but it's not great days of the Sharia. It's not great days of Tasboof. Tasboof is down. It's full of charlatans at every corner. Okay, it has become just a spectacle of singing and the people just telling me little stories. Tasawwuf is Islam or is nothing. The greatest of all the Sufis is not Abdul Jilani. The greatest of all the Sufis is Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. You follow Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, or that's it. Okay, you tell me, what capacity does this be saying? Okay, so you cannot make it just move just considered. These are secondary matters. So things that for other cultures, the centuries were built up. The greatest thing that it is the prayer.
Right. So let me try to help the audience. So for instance, if we talk about a barter system, right? Or if I trade 2 sheep for 1 cow, people can relate to that. Okay, there's an asset for an asset, right? Or if I trade 2 cows for 1 cow, people generally will accept that as being like, it's unjust, right? But when it comes to, for instance, the fiat system, right? Would you say that, are you saying that it's fundamentally haram and riba because in this situation, you're actually exchanging something which actually has value for something that has no value at all?
I mean, you need to explain that to people, you could. But I mean,
seriously, and also you don't know that. Yeah, they're real difficult, so you don't get it. Right?
It's just a person waking up.
Yeah.
It's just a person of real. Look at a little bit of detail in the real. What is this? It's an obligation. It's a monopoly. It's not by the government of the United States. It's not even by the Federal Reserve Bank. It's by private banks. Private banks that they bring the majority of the money, determining the value. It's not money. It's not money. Because even prior years, if I write on a piece of paper, I'm going to pay you 20 dinars. It's not money. What you're discussing is like a kind of to even rationalize something that is already absurd. Look, the key of the matter, Dr. Abdel, is that you either see it or you don't see it. Okay, you have a very, very strong argument not to want to see it. Because if you see it, your life is a lie. Okay? That's not comfortable. Now, when the religion becomes comfortable, it's to live in a world where I'm a good person. Okay, so it's like, how cannot be wrong? Then go ahead, but good luck to you. But that's another religion. Is and please understand the number of people who are changing and are ready to introduce real currency. This is dinner and that. We need commodity. You can use leather if you want. You can use salt, but you're free. In the past, for 5,000 years, the people have chosen gold and silver. It's very likely that if we return to freedom, which we really have, Like, we need to understand the argument. Okay, it's not about whether a piece of paper is better than a piece of gold. So it's not freedom. You don't have freedom because how could you? What do you think the people in Turkey will choose a currency with 3% inflation? It's like not a choice. In fact, 60% of the economy of Turkey is dollarized. So they will say we are against the United States, but they are funding the United States.
Right. Yeah.
The people in the United States you have no notion of what the problem is. So people will look at you for your currency is a good fact. Because how could you argue? Imagine going to Minnesota and making an argument saying let's eliminate the US dollar. Your president, your new president, said very clearly, which is the Organization of the People of the World, to eliminate the monopoly of the US dollar, which is about time. It's happening. It's already happening.
Yes.
Mr. The new president who hasn't been president yet, at least said, if you try to eliminate the power of the US dollar, then we will increase your tariffs 100%. Okay, I saw all these Americans cheering up, saying, yes, we have a president who is going to make us great again. You don't understand how much the world hates.
Yes.
We're like, here, wow, you are. But all you have to do is to travel a little bit out there. You will flash an American passport and you will see the people are not kissing your hands. You're just saying you are the devil. You are paying taxes to this devil government. And you pretend we're doing what? That's why I like to do this podcast in California so that the people of America understand.
Inshallah.
We're not all doomed in time. When the world is about to eliminate the US dollar, when that day happen, United States will turn into a civil war. Simply, your system is evil. Your economy is evil. If I allow you to put this thing in YouTube, good luck to you, Dr.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
Please,
hopefully, hopefully they won't take it down. Yeah, but definitely the whole idea is to try to educate as many people as possible about some of these ideas. But what I want to try to do too is to try to help people to understand some basic like key aspects of this, and I do have hope that there are people who are willing to hear. I have good reason to believe that more and more people are willing to hear more about these ideas nowadays. Right. So that's why I talked about, okay, well, the issue of the fiat money and what's inflation. And so, I mean, people have to understand, like, well, inflation itself, I mean, we can come back to that, but not to sort of like not to ignore your.
So let's say, for example, we don't have inflation. Does it make it any better?
No, right. Exactly. Right. Yeah. But people that,
the parallel, the question is, if you see it, there are 4 countries in the Sahel, in southern Sahara. This is the country of Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, and Chad. Chad is not quite there, but also they want to return to gold currency. They have eliminated the colonial French currency that it has been imposed upon them. They are waking up, and they're saying gold currency, we are helping them.
right.
And we are helping them to create a currency for the African Union that it will begin based on gold. But 60% of all the gold in the world has come from Africa, but only 5% remains there.
Right.
Africa has been robbed of its people, and you are the proof of it, and of the resources, which has been robbed and robbed and robbed and continues to be robbed. But some people are saying enough.
Yes.
Enough. And the currency of Africa will be a currency of gold and silver. And if the Americans want pieces of paper, they can keep it. As I have said back in Africa in the days of Mugabe, when I first spoke about these matters, Zimbabwe has minted the gold currency, legal tender, by the way, okay, on the instructions that we left behind.
Right.
I said to him, if they said to you that you are going back to gold and this is backwards, say, we are Africans, we're backwards, we keep the gold, you are so clever, you keep all the paper for yourself.
Yes, right.
Simple. If you understand it, then you understand. Okay, it's about freedom or not freedom. If you really believe that a piece of paper controlled by private banks is the currency of the world and inflation. You really don't understand anything about economics or anything. Economics is not science. It's an ideology.
So I think two things. I see two things here. Again, I'm asking you these questions. I'm trying to act as if I'm an uneducated sort of. Well, I'm not claiming to know so much, but like as someone who actually wouldn't know much about like the things like the things that I see like two fundamental issues. It seems like one part the issue is that that the issue of freedom, right? This particular system is a system that has enslaved the world, right, because of the way it is constructed. And then second of all is because we have currency that it's not backed by real assets, right? But what if we had a system that was backed by real assets like gold and silver, for instance, or like wheat or whatever it may be, any type of real asset that really has some type of inherent value, right? What if like our system were to be revolutionized and transformed in that particular regard? And it sort of seems like this is what the BRICS alliance is attempting to do, right? Because I know that China and Russia, they've been buying up a lot of gold, and perhaps other countries have been doing the same thing. But what might happen? Like say, what if like you say America decided tomorrow, we're going to abandon this old system. We're going to join the BRICS alliance along with them. Would that sort of validate the money in some particular form at that point?
Okay, money.
Yeah.
Let's define money.
Okay.
Money is any commodity commonly accepted as a medium of exchange. It's a commodity. It's not a bet. It's not a IOU. This is forbidden. It's an easy payment. This is Islamic law. It's in the water. You want to read, anyone who wants to read, we give them daily classes on the Kitab al-Buyur.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that
2 minutes to that.
But what I'm
So this is not what you have today. Is not money. Is you want to return to gold and silver. If you freedom, people have chosen gold and silver, they will choose gold and silver again.
Okay.
And can you make payment systems with it? Digitalize those. Those you can. You can do anything. You can just make the payment with a mobile phone, but it will be a piece of gold and a piece of silver.
Right. So you're saying that okay, for instance, I can exchange like food, I can exchange clothing, I can change for gold or for silver, but if it's something that I can actually turn in for gold and silver, like a piece of paper, an IOU, then you're saying that fundamentally would not be a lawful, that would make it not conforming to the Sharia itself, out of conformity with the Sharia, because
So this is basic Islamic law.
okay,
You have Ain, which is tangible. That would be physical gold and silver. And you have Dine.
Yes.
Dine is a promise to pay you. Can you use Dine? Yes, it's allowed. But you cannot use it as means of payment. It's a private contract between two individuals. I owe you so much money, so you go back there and you just pay. That's it. You cannot exchange it with a third party. You cannot exchange Dine for Dine. Dine for Dine is bit. So paper money is not easy. But more important, the thing that people have to understand is if they can see, some people cannot see. About you can see, what you have to understand is that you don't need paper.
Don't need it. Yeah.
With the digital means that you have today. I mean, even the cash is disappearing in the United States, right? How many transactions you do digitally? You can do it digitally, and there's a way of doing it correctly, and there is a way of doing it incorrectly. And in digitalized gold and silver, you have a stronger currency than the US dollar. And this is where the things are heading. The dollar is disappearing. It's going to disappear because that system, that century of blunders of the 20th century is over now.
So that brings up another important question, which is that, okay, and of course, correct me if I'm incorrect, if I'm wrong about this, the vast majority of what we call dollars that are in circulation are actually not physical paper, right? They're actually in digital form, right? So I learned, I don't know if the percentage is right now, but some time ago, they said only about 4% of the dollars in circulation are actual physical cash.
Much less.
Right. Less than that. Okay. Less than that right now. Okay, so how? Okay, so if the digital form, so it sounds as if you're saying that the digital form actually is a more valid form of currency than the physical form of it.
Not even.
Oh, okay. I want to be clear
Let's
about
not
that.
get mistaken.
Okay.
Because like Bitcoin is a spam, but the cryptocurrencies are spams. These are not currencies. They are just means by the US to continue exploiting and robbing the world. Yeah, it's not a currency. It's not. There is a system. If you have to spend 5 minutes analyzing Bitcoin, you realize it's a complete scam from beginning to end. If you have to be really, really full of paper money, but to be people full, the solution is Bitcoin. There is no such thing as digital currencies. That doesn't exist. What exists is commodities. In the means of payment, that means how you communicate with one another, you do it digitally. That's all. It's a piece of communication digitally. We call it digital payment system because you are telling somebody else to originate a transaction, not accept the payment, or repeat somebody else to make a payment. But that's the only thing that is digital on the matter is how you communicate. Coin must be physically there. The transaction has to physically happen. Otherwise, it's not Islamic. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Right. So Bitcoin, you're saying so Bitcoin is haram, mainly primarily because it's actually, well, one, it's not a currency, it's a commodity, first and foremost. Is that the proper way to characterize it? Would you characterize Bitcoin
No,
as a commodity? Yeah.
no, it's not. Bitcoin is on a stop. Yes, it's the stand for the beginning. There is nothing behind.
There's nothing behind it.
Promise of anything. It's just a system controlled by a handful of people that we don't know who they are. And we don't know who they are. They don't honest know who they are. And they create police. That is completely speculative. Completely, not just a little bit. 100% speculative. If it's possible, if you have a limited amount of something and you keep betting, the prices go up. This is what the stock exchange says. But in this case, it's nothing. You're not standing in shows. You're standing in complete fantasy. It's not the currency of the world, but this discussion is look, you didn't entertain yourself with the thought of how many different currencies there is in the world, but what is really relevant is what Islam says about the currency. And in Islam, the currency of Islam, the Sharia currency, according this is the name given by Ibn Khaldun, is the dinar and the dirham. It's called the Sharia currency because it's part of the deen. It was being is used in order to calculate the nisab of zakat. Where is the dinar and the dirham?
Right.
Where is the dinar and the dirham? Who has taken it away from it? Why we cannot mean to it? We have needed more gold dinar and more silver dirham than anyone was the contemporary Muslims today. But can be done. We don't have to just decide to do it. So what's happening with the Muslim will that they don't even pass it on? But they don't see the difference between a gold dinar and a US dollar. Something is terrible. Yes.
Right.
And there are two things as here required. One is look to change your heart. It's we have to stop doing just kind of pretending that nothing was happening. Really was happening to somebody else, not to me. That's absurd. And you have to realize that you are in big trouble and you have to change it. And there are solutions, of course, there are solutions. And you must take them because this is not a choice. This is a crime worse than having sexual intercourse with a mother. This is a hadith of Rasul too. This is terrible. He's like, so you can then and continue doing it and pretend, it's just, I'm just a pious Muslim. No, this is, it doesn't add on. You have to change it. You have to know that it's possible changing, and there is a growing movement worldwide to eliminate the system. This is going to disappear. It has no chance, and you know why it has no chance? Because Allah has declared war. It doesn't have any power. It's dead. It's like this. It's a ruin. All they have to do is to move away from my building that is collapsing. The only thing that keeps capitalism going is us, and by youngs I mean the Muslims.
Yes.
We should hit it. The people don't know they have the right hand. Okay, they don't know what good sexuality they have. They don't have any chance. These people are blind. They are children. They don't know what they are doing. It's the Muslims go after education. We have the message. Allah is working with all of us. Spoken clearly, not with metaphors, with clear message. We have the Sunnah and we have the we have mu'amalat, and we have the practice of the Imal of Dukhul al-Medina. I understand your analogy, so you understand what I mean?
Yes, yes, exactly.
What was done? You have to just elaborate into
Yeah.
but I know that for the majority of the people, this is really, very hard. Very hard, because what is reality is I have a job, I have this, and I have the kids in the school, and I have the mortgage, and I have most of the things. What about teens? The only thing that you can have is of the religious organizations to entertain yourself in the weekend, which is a substitute to watching football or watching something else. So you limit yourself in the company for the people who say everything is all right, because the majority of the people were using the US dollar in the propaganda. So if the majority are doing kind of bit like that, well, I'm sorry to say, but that's not how it dance as haram or halal. Is what Allah says.
Yes.
Allah says, we're giving you a way, I'm giving you the way of getting out of this system. Follow it and you will be successful. And if you cannot see it, and your teachers, and I teach you, you can look teachers.
Yes.
The only thing that you have is, like Marx said, in that religion is the opium of the people. That is the only thing that pseudo Islam, what I call Protestant Islam, is the only thing that gives you is Islam. Is that you don't raise your head. Indeed, you get concerned about the hijab of the woman. You go obsessed on sexual behavior, but you don't care about social morality. So personal morality, puritanical morality, and this is what they have today.
And that in itself, and that in itself actually has a greater effect on everything else, right? It's a sort of top-down sort of effect, and I think that that we don't have enough Muslim scholars who are focused on the macro level, right? This level of analysis, and it sort of sounds to me like because the ulama generally sort of dropped the ball when it comes to this particular issue. And like Sheikh, I hope you're not frustrated by my questions. I'm actually, like I said, I'm trying to be somewhat of like angel's advocate, not devil's advocate. When it comes to
Get the right process, because there are the process that everybody will last. And that's that we're doing, but wow.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. Sheikh, I had a question. I wanted to stay on the topic of Bitcoin for a second, because I'm quite sure when certain people see this video, they're going to hear that you said Bitcoin's haram. And I know a number of brothers who are really, really heavily into Bitcoin. And some of them, they're very critical of the U.S. dollar. They acknowledge this. Well, the U.S. dollar, the current system is bad. It's haram. This is riba. But in the only halal form of currency that exists is Bitcoin. That's their opinion. So, and but then on the other hand, there's some people who actually believe that Bitcoin is haram, but their argument is that, okay, what makes it haram is that, one, you cannot physically hold it, and then two, because the government a government has not issued it, right? So, what do you have to say about this?
It's just comic, really. Look, it's not whether it's haram or not. It's whole system is haram. It's a riba. It's haram. You live inside the central bank with paper money, with interest rates, with mortgages. What's haram? How do you care about haram? So decided that it doesn't mean to you. So suddenly Bitcoin is going to make it any better. What do you buy it? How do you operate with it? It's absurd. It's just comical. There's people who the state. I said to you on the beginning, the state of the Sharia is terrible. The majority of the ulama, they say Islamic banking is the solution. Islamic banking, which is like saying, okay, we have prostitution in our country, so let's Islamize the brothels. And how do you Islamize the brothels? You put this everything at the door, and then you pray. These brothels would be done. You can't possibly Islamize the banks. But banks are the institution of people. I mean, I was not a Muslim, I already knew that. Every Muslim knows that. I was 15 years old, and I knew the banks are the people that they are the enemy. And I didn't need Islam. So what happened to these individuals? I mean, you can study the condition, etc., etc. From the Sufi point of view, is that they are so attached to dunya that they are totally blind. They have no akal, zero akal. Okay, akal, by the way, akal is not intellect, which is how they translate every ayat of Quran. Akal is the cognitive capacity of the heart. It's your capacity to recognize Allah everywhere, whatever you do with the face of. And there is no act. So because everything is thicker. Even the spirituality has become a special way of thinking. The special thinking. They don't understand spirituality. They don't understand the heart. They, there are very, very few people who teach the science of the heart.
Yes.
And that's why nobody wants to talk about fanafila, nobody wants to speak about salwa. They don't. Or night prayers. This is out of fashion. What they like is singing songs in their weekends. This is what has done. And then some people think that if they sing, then riba will not affect them. Astaghfirullah.
Astaghfirullah.
It's absurd. But what I'm saying is that you either see it, you open their eyes and you see and you stop paper money is absurd. And then the currency must be something tangible, gold or silver. Of course, no inflation, but that's not the reason, which is gold and silver. Also, it has no inflation. Is the inflation is inflated because the money is not yours. It doesn't belong to you. You don't buy it. You don't even know who controls it. Yet you spend 8,000 chasing this piece of paper, like the power of the icons of Mecca and other gods. So today it's just a piece of paper, and they control the world. But at the same time, look how fragile it is. The system that depends on a piece of paper. Or you have to say, I don't need it. I don't need it. You can say it's haram. Okay, because their use is haram. But what is important is to say, I don't need you.
Yes. Right.
And for example, the banking system, we don't need the banking system.
Right.
The technology has come to a point where we don't need commercial banks. You probably have heard about the central bank digital currencies,
Yes.
which uses as Bitcoin is a blockchain, but it makes commercial bank unnecessary. Blockchains has lots of appendages. Technology of holding information, but it's very powerful, and it's certainly ideal if you could digitalize gold and silver. But the notion that you can have a system that cannot be broken so easy is very, very difficult to break. It allows you to create payment systems completely independent from anybody. So the government could, for example, the central bank could issue is central bank digital currencies, and we don't need commercial banks. With a card, you can settle all the transactions. You don't need
Right.
Bank of America. You don't need Chase Bank. You don't need Citibank. You don't need the banks. And so, in other words, it's another way of saying you nationalize banks. And nationalization of banking is the first step towards the elimination of riba. Listen to what I'm saying, because this is now we are talking about solutions. The nationalization of banking is the first step towards the elimination of riba. So instead of having 50 banks or 100 banks, you have one. And then bank, the central bank, in the hands of the government of an Islamic government, it can be reduced in a given period of time. It should be transformed into a sovereign fund and stop its credit functions. That's the way of doing it. And there are people who are listening to us. So this is the way. This is the future. The future is a world without central banks and without banks. Islamized.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So am I understanding you correctly to say that if we were to have a system where gold is digitized, for instance, or silver is digitized, and it wasn't monopolized by the government central bank or any other central bank like in the world, right? And people were free to transact with whatever they want to transact with. Not only, just, well, the paper money, we said, okay, we get rid of that. We don't need it. But we said, well, I don't want to use that. I want to use everything else. It's something that has some type of utility, something that has some intrinsic value, right? And that commodity is sort of like just the thing that I trade with. Would that make it, would you consider that to be a valid Islamic?
No, I don't consider anything. This is the law of Islam. It's black and white. Everybody, okay, Islam stands for you're Maliki. So this is not my opinion. I don't have an opinion on the matter. So this is the way as it is. It's that the people are free to choose the medium of exchange. If you are not free to choose the medium of exchange, you're in trouble. But the same thing with digital currency. You may want to have a digital payment system. You may decide not to. An Islamic payment system is a gold coin in your pocket. In your pocket. If you want to, the normal function is to be able to go to the shop and buy whatever you want.
Yes.
So the souk, ideally. You go to the souk, you buy. And if you want, because you have to make payments to another place, you open a digital account with a wadia of the institutions who know how to operate it. What is digital there? The digital is how you communicate with the person in the wakil that operates the wadia, and you tell him, receive 20 dinars from somebody else or make 20 dinar payment to somebody else. He does it for you electronically. It's the communication, that's all.
Yes. Right.
The gold coin must exist. If the coin doesn't exist, then there's no transaction, there's nothing. So you can digitalize this. And so the people who speak about Bitcoin, they should think the following. The technology is good, but Bitcoin is a scam. Okay. It's not haram, it's just a scam. If you cannot understand it, well, just wake up, wash your face, and open up the eyes. This is not the solution to the US dollar. And if you follow the trend, when the US dollar falls down, Bitcoin falls down. When the US dollar goes up, Bitcoin goes up. When the US dollar disappears, the Bitcoin will disappear. And when the dinar is established, goodbye Bitcoin, of course.
Yeah, right. And it seems like what I know about Bitcoin, it relies heavily on the exchange Tether, the Tether exchange, which USD Tether sort of backs a lot of Bitcoin, and I know that it's been under a lot of stress recently because I think the EU recently just declared that USD Tether is not what's the word they use for it? Well, but it doesn't fulfill the conditions of their of their.
But only the Americans have this fantasy. Honestly, you live in the world of your own. It's an unregulated market, but you go into, at least in Europe, when you go into the Bitcoin trading, this is be careful that this is an unregulated market. Unregulated means that you do whatever you like. Every trickery that there is in the book. Pushing the prices up, then cutting them down. Everything that is forbidden in the stock exchange is allowed in Bitcoin.
Yes, right.
Look, I created the second digital currency in the world. It's called e-dinar. We closed it down because we couldn't maintain it with that technology at the time. We, United States, tried to close us down every time they could. We have 30 suits against us, saying that we were helping Al Qaeda, we were helping all the terrorists in the world. Thanks God we knew by name every person that had an account, so they couldn't prove it. But that doesn't matter because once you say that you're a criminal, then they can freeze your account and wait until you prove yourself otherwise. The first digital payment system that it was based on gold was by an American man, Dr. Jackson. He was a neurologist, wonderful. He was one of those people who opened up the eyes and he saw and he tried to create a digital payment system based on gold. And grams of gold, we were using coins. But I told him that that's not good, but he did it his way. He was put in jail. He was put in jail. So why? Because he was accused of money laundering. I mean, look, Bitcoin is the super motherload of money laundering in the world because it pretends to be independent, anonymous. How do you on earth you be so blind to realize that the United States is going to promote the system unless they know exactly who is who and who is what and how they can blind at you? Well, if there is Islamic bankers, there are people blinded on that. But this is what it is. What do that do for people who are looking for an alternative? Learn that in Islam. I know they're not teaching anybody how you go. Nowadays, you go to a faculty of Islamic finance and they teach you Islamic banking. You know, the lies of fraudulent contracts based on 2 transactions in one that they have been legalized by people like Taki Usmani and the Lord. They have created another religion, these people. But they will pay the price because what they are doing is absolutely evil work. In the United States, you have your own collection of Islamic bankers going mosque by mosque, teaching you how to open an Islamic bank account. This is so I'm not surprised that there is people who say the cryptocurrencies are
Yeah, I actually have a question about Islamic bank, about Islamic financing. But before that, I wanted to ask if Chris, I think you would know what the reasons why Sheikh Abdul Qadir, rahimahullah, he abandoned the project of the gold dinar. Is this because of he didn't abandon? What was the statement that was posted before he passed away?
This is first of all, nobody was looking at it. He wrote that letter to me and he said, what you have to do, you have to make sure that the dinar in Galantan is for the collection of zakat. What he didn't know, which I informed him immediately after I received the letter, is that we had already collected zakat with dinar and dirhams, and thousands of people have been paid in dinars and dirhams, and they went to the shops and they bought things with in the traditional way of using physical coins to pay zakat. And when I told him, he said, "Oh, this is wonderful," and this and that. Some people just to publish the thing, and you know what fake news are. There's a depth. There's exaggerating and lying, and there is a lot of people. There is a lot of people out there that they would rather believe that the gold dinar is not a good idea. It's not.
Yeah. No.
This was my idea. I wish I could say I invented the gold dinar, but I didn't. And not that clever. The only thing is that it's unquestionable. And they are like maybe 300 statements of the Harvard saying the gold dinar is the currency of the Muslims. When they pick up on the beginning of one sentence, on a letter that they don't bother to read. Of course, the share was in favor of the gold dinar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I don't think that the statement said that he was not in favor of it, but it did seem like there was somewhat of a capitulation about, at least for the at the moment, right, because of a lot of the pressures or the shenanigans from the So was the statement from did it originate? Was it
It's a letter written to me. He wrote the letter to me, not to anybody else.
Okay, but what was this and who published the public statement? There was something that was
because the Shaykh published the letter. He decided to publish the letter, and that's it. But the letter was sent to me in physical form, and then I don't know whether he chose or somebody else did, but there was at the time there was some people in South Africa who didn't like the idea of the gold dinar for some other reasons. They have made a big blunder. Cheating people, getting fulus and other things, and they didn't want the gold dinar to flourish. But nothing to do with hardware. This I know hardware better than any personal life.
Yeah. So I have a few more questions for you. I want to keep you for too long, but like coming back to Islamic finance, the primary selling point of those who support Islamic finance has been what differentiates us from conventional finance is that in conventional finance, you're exchanging money for money, right? Where with us, you're exchanging money for an asset. So what do you have to say about
what is money for these people? US dollars is money. I mean, don't they practice fractional reserve banking? They create money too. Don't they? Not to operate as a bank, you need to by contract to the central bank. Yeah, these people are the devils. Islamic bank is not haram. It's haram. It's haram on several levels. But the most important of which is they make riba halal. What they call Islamic contracts, none of them is an Islamic contract. They are fake Islamic contracts, mostly based. Murabaha and the Warak and all that and family of conflicts. There are 2 transactions in one. So all you have to read is the water. You are a Malik scholar. it says the transaction the one is for, if you sell, this is forbidden, completely forbidden, but really forbidden. And if they have any doubt, go to the Munawana, and then you see all the different cases. Go to the Bidata Mustahid, and then you see all the methods. What is controversial and what is not controversial in the matter is clear, but they lied. But these people don't want to. Even Turkish money who invented Murabaha. Murabaha was the contract that made Islamic banking profitable. Before that, some couldn't function. And here, Murabaha is a sale contract. It's a sale, one good as an stake is right. It's just a sale. And he transformed it into financial contract. So I tell you to buy something from me, then you buy it from me, and they just sell it back to me with an increase. That's not Murabaha. That is to sell one which is forbidden in Islam clearly. And when Taqi Usmani wrote the book Murabaha, you look at the footnotes, it's very clear. It says this is a sale contract, but given the circumstances, we have to adapt to the times. Astaghfirullah. I mean, this is like saying, prostitution is better because we don't have any problem. We have difficulties with marriage, so let's say it. You cannot do this thing with Islam.
Yeah. Right. So here's just one final follow up. This is one final contention. Like, for instance, that what if, like, what would you respond? What would you say to someone who says, okay, well, yeah, I understand where you're coming from as a Maliki or as, I don't know, someone who reads the Muwatta Ibn Malik, but like, say, for instance, when you look at the illah for the tahrim riba, we find that scholars differ about the tahrim. It's like, for instance, Ibn Hazm al-Zahiri, he restricted it to the 6 items, usul riba, right? And then so since
this is strange,
somebody said, well, I'm just adopting the
no, they are devils.
Yeah,
these people are devils. Listen to me, Dr. Abdullah, and it's very important because this is for our community. We will back on them, but shut up, stop doing what you're doing. It's absolutely ridiculous and it's absurd because they're practicing Islamic law. They're not changing capitalism in order to fit to the Sharia. They're changing the Sharia in order to fit to capitalism. They have stopped with Islamic banks. They have now Islamic credit cards. They have now Islamic futures. They have Islamic interest. They have Islamized the whole thing. Don't you understand that it's absurd? It's course they play games. They have PhDs. They have entire schools. In order to validate the near statement, you have to do it on the basis of somebody else who's already lying. The whole school of Islamic finance is a fraud. Okay, and so I have spoken with thousands of Islamic bankers. Because I've been telling them Islamic banking is haram for 25 years. Okay? Yeah. I have not spoken with any one of them who, when you tell them that this is haram, they don't look back at you and they'll say, yes, but we are trying to do the best we can. They know they're lying. They know they're lying. And in Blackie, we are trying to make it easy for the people. No, you are not making it easy to the people. You are luring them into riba deeper than they were earlier. So, the question is that it will be better than using a Jewish bank. They thought, why? It's going to be better. I think it's worse. What is better? A brothel in which they say prostitution here is halal, or one in which you go there and it says prostitution is haram. Which one is better? I mean, the one that says is halal. This is infinitely the sinner. The one is the sin. The other one is shirk. These people they do believe Allah is the law. They believe the ways of the kuffar is the law. They have made riba halal. Wait, you've been not forgiven. I haven't pardoned you. Because Allah is merciful. But somebody who says riba is halal, they have all, they will have their problems with Allah, but we cannot possibly take that seriously. They are large in number because they are funded by the institution of riba. And then those like IMF, one of the funniest things with Islamic bankers when they tell you is that, look, we are so good that even the IMF is saying Islamic banking is good. If the devil is saying you're good, because you are the devil, you're one of them. Yes. In America, you have this problem left, right, and center. The art teachers, internet is full of it. They are lying. They are not teaching Maliki fiqh or any fiqh. They are teaching the fiqh of Islamic banking. They have invented that, and you allow them to speak. And what is more dangerous is that the ulama, they refuse to teach about muamalat. And if you don't teach about muamalat, then these people have all the boys.
Yes.
And you have to tell them, no, look, if you want to know what money is, this is what Imam Malik says. And we have to revive the fiqh of the amal of the Ahl al-Medina, which is where the solution is. This is called muamalat. And if you want to learn, you can learn. There are people teaching. And if you don't want to learn, just carry on, close your eyes, and may Allah be merciful with you.
Amen.
All this changes. The world is changing, okay? This is not going to continue. The people are waking up, and there are big lists, thousands, millions of people who want to make a change.
Yeah, Allah bless you, Sheikh. I have two concluding questions. The first one is, how many books, what sort of books do you have published? I think I saw 3 of them, but I imagine you've probably written more than that over the years.
Well, I keep updating, and so I wrote The End of Economics, the Fatwa on Paper Money, Esoteric Deviation in Islam, which is kind of the big one. I have written Manual on Islamic Trading, The Question Concerning the Guilds. I mean, lots of titles.
It's a lot.
And most recently, I have written in Spanish The Defense of the Commons, which is the defense of the system of what, but it's written in Spanish. And Praxis of Prosperity, which is a small booklet on how do you get rid of riba in the modern day. It answers all the questions and the most basic ones. And then I have another one also written in Spanish about the meaning of riba in Islam, which gives all the definition of riba, how it operates, how to get rid of it. It's in Spanish. So I have some in Spanish because it's my natural language. I hate to speak English. I have no choice. But the Hispanic world, when it wakes up to Islam, will be one of the signs of revival.
Inshallah.
Because the greatest period of history of Islam is Al-Andalus. I am the first Sufi Sheikh of Al-Andalus, and I find it my concern to make sure that we put the seeds for an Hispanic Islam, not an English-speaking Islam, that it solves all the Anglo-Saxon messes that has been during the century, and revive the deen with the wisdom of the people of Al-Andalus.
Inshallah. And Sheikh, how can someone follow your work?
Go to internet, you find me everywhere. I'm the easiest person to contact.
You don't have your own website? You have your own website? Or?
I have a website. I have a website. I have a podcast. I teach every day. I have some teaching on tasawwuf in the evenings. I teach during the day. We are now reading, for example, the Kitab al-Buyuh of Imam Malik, the 20th time, going back into what is money, what is the transactions in one, etc., according to the amal of the Ahl al-Medina, not the fantasies of these Islamic bankers. And there is an enormous interest in the matter. We are working to create an institution here in Turkey with the government of Turkey to create an institute of muamalat that it will also decrease the people coming from all over the world to learn the deen of Islam. Okay? And so you will have a place where you can actually learn. But based on the amal of the Ahl al-Medina, just as simple as that. No fantasies. So it will be Maliki fiqh, but before he was a madhab, is the amal of the Medina. The first formulation of Islamic law lived Sunnah by the greatest city that ever existed, which is the city of Medina, right after the death of Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, which is when the Deen was completed, and the next 3 generations. This is where, if you want to revive Islam, go back there, and you will understand all the questions on every concern. This is where the model is. And that's what we are teaching. So I'm teaching that. I'm also teaching. I have on Sundays. I give a class on contemporary issues. Like for example, we are speaking about Waqf now. What is Waqf in Islam? How all the markets in Islam are Waqf. How to revive the Waqf system? How to revive the land system? This weekend I'm going to speak about land and Islam in regard of it's common. You cannot privatize things that belongs to God. And so how that operates in Islam, how it changes housing, how you can build houses without mortgage, and all sort of to create a free society afterwards. And then I also combine it with classes of Ibn al-Arabi. There's a big demand for learning about the great Sufi Sheikh from Murcia, from Andalus. And especially because there is so much misunderstanding about Ibn al-Arabi. And al-Arabi is 100% Ahl al-Sunnah wal Jama'ah. He's totally 100%. But is the people who do not understand, then they don't understand what he's saying, so they say things that he doesn't even say, like the Wahdat al-Wujud, which is a term he doesn't use. That's a misunderstanding. So I'm teaching Ibn al-Arabi from the position from as a Sufi Sheikh, so from the position of Tasawwuf, and he is unquestionable. He is the greatest thing that we can have for the defense of the Sharia, for the defense of Tawheed, etc. Just you have to be able to understand what he said. That's all. So I'm doing that. So I'm teaching all the time, and I travel. I do some consulting with people, organizations, governments that are interested in this matter. This is how we're moving forward. The world is changing. Islam is rising, and when the Sharia is rising, Tasawwuf will rise too.
Okay. Inshallah.
The time we're living in. Exciting times we're living in.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I really do appreciate it, Sheikh. Really, I'm really glad that I had the opportunity to have this conversation and to try to get from you as much as I could in a very short span of time. I've been trying to watch more and more of your videos these days, so, and I've been benefiting from them, and I really do appreciate your work, and I mean, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant you success in all that you do and continue to magnify the benefit from you, inshallah.
Well, thank you to you for inviting me. Yes, I really appreciate it. If I know that I have raised in big subjects and I haven't done it in a moderate way, I've gone straight to the point because we don't have time. Okay, but if anyone wants to know why Islamic banking is haram, I'm ready to teach. Call me Ibn. We do one event just dedicated to that matter. If you want to know what is money in Islam, I will teach you what money is in Islam. According to Imam Malik, I will not open my mouth. Just say what Imam Malik says, and use the fiqh in order to define these matters. Because I'm just giving you headlines, but we have the obligation to know these things clearly. And Islam is clear, and Islam is not complicated. Because a 12 years old should be able to understand Islam. So it's not complicated at all. So I put myself at your disposal anytime you want. I have very, very good friends in America. And I know how difficult the situation is. But the fact that you're in America is an asset to the Deen of Islam. So let's use it intelligently. And especially the Black community and Muslim Black community in America, that you're shining. You are the secret of Africa. And Allah has put you there. What is happening in Africa, you should be following it up. It's in the Sahel. Follow Burkina Faso. Okay? But also Chad and Niger and Mali, they are changing. Things are changing. And Zimbabwe. And together we will do something marvelous. And may Allah bless all the people in the United States. You have a big challenge. But Allah loves the Muslims. Be confident in Him, and you will shine. You will be the solution for an America that it will turn against itself. And you will be the only people who can give order to America. That's who self-destroyed. You are the only chance to maintain that country alive.
Amen. Amen. Well, thank you, Sheikh. Really do appreciate it. Inshallah. Until next time. Until next time.
Inshallah.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and support. Check the links in the description below to keep up with our work. Thank you.